All right, let's dive in. Today we're going to journey way, way back. I mean, long before fiber optics, before satellites, even before the telephone. We're going to uncover the amazing story of the world's first instant messaging network. It was so revolutionary that it got this incredible nickname, the Victorian Internet.
So, just to grasp how mind-blowing this was, think about this for a second. In the 1830s, if you wanted to send a message from New York to London, you were looking at a 2-week wait, minimum. You were at the mercy of the fastest ship and the best winds. But just a few decades later, by the 1860s, that same message took 2 minutes. That's not just an upgrade, right? That's completely rewriting the rules of time and space as everyone knew them.
So the big question is, how? How on earth did we go from weeks to minutes? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi novel, but it was real. And that's exactly the story we're going to unpack today.
Okay, so first, we've got to set the stage. We need to understand what the world was like before this electric pulse came along and changed literally everything. It was a world of, well, a world of waiting.
I mean, really think about it. Every single piece of information, whether it was a huge business deal, news from a battlefield, or just a simple letter to your family, it was a physical thing. It had to be physically carried from one place to another. This made the world feel enormous, you know? Things could happen, major events, and people on the other side of the ocean wouldn't find out for weeks. It's a completely different reality from what we know.
And then came the big idea, the spark. The absolutely incredible concept of taking electricity, basically taming lightning in a bottle, and making it carry our thoughts down a wire. It sounds impossible, but that's what happened.
When you get right down to it, the telegraph is a surprisingly simple idea. You've got this long wire, right? And at one end, you close a circuit, sending a little pulse of electricity. Almost instantly, something at the other end clicks or moves. That's it. It's basically a long-distance on-off switch. But, of course, just flipping a switch on and off doesn't mean much. You need a language for it.
And that language, well, that's where Morse code comes in. This was the genius part. You could almost think of it as the software that ran on the telegraph's hardware. Samuel Morse had this brilliant insight. You could represent every single letter and number just by using 2 simple signals. A quick little pulse, that's a dot, and a slightly longer pulse, that's a dash.
And here's where it all comes together. A simple word we all know, like hello, suddenly becomes the series of dots and dashes, a unique rhythm of electric pulses. A good telegraph operator could tap that out in just a couple of seconds, sending it flying down the line. And hundreds of miles away, another operator would just hear these clicks, dot, dash, dot, 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 and in their head, they'd instantly translate it right back into letters. It's amazing.
Okay, so the concept, it worked. It was brilliant. But, there's a huge difference between having a great idea and actually building it out. We're talking about stringing a web of wires not just across land, but across entire oceans. That was a whole other level of challenge.
I mean, just try to put yourself in their shoes. They wanted to connect Europe and America. So, how do you stop salty ocean water from eating away at the metal wire? How do you build a cable that won't get crushed by the insane pressure 2 miles under the sea? And maybe the biggest question of all, how do you lay it all down on a seabed you can't even see? It's just one impossible problem after another.
And this number, this just says it all. 2,500 miles. That's the length of the cable they had to lay. 2,500 miles of this super-engineered, heavily armored wire, all coiled up on giant ships and then carefully, painstakingly spooled out onto the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The sheer ambition of it, it's just staggering.
And yeah, they didn't get it right on the first try. Not even close. The first cable they laid in 1858 was this huge celebration for all of 3 weeks. Then it just died. It took almost another 10 years of trying, failing, and trying again before they finally made a lasting connection in 1866. And once that worked, things moved fast. Soon they had a line to India, and suddenly, for the first time ever, we had a truly global network.
So now the network is in place, and this is when the world really starts to change, in ways nobody could have seen coming. This wasn't just a faster way to send notes. This wire was about to completely reshape society from the ground up.
You can really feel the awe people felt at the time from quotes like this one. The telegraph has annihilated both time and space. Annihilated. They didn't see it as just a faster post office. To them, it felt like the basic laws of the universe had been rewritten. The planet just shrank overnight. And what's so wild is how much it all mirrors our world today. Their telegrams, those were the very first text messages. The Associated Press wire service, that was basically the original Twitter news feed. Those old-timey stock tickers, they were the real-time trading apps of their day. It all started right here. This was the original digital disruption.
And just like the early internet, it wasn't really for chit-chat at first. It was all about business. If you look at the traffic, the huge majority of it was for finance and business. Then you had news and the press. Personal messages, that was just a tiny little slice. This was a tool for work, for information, for commerce.
So look, this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. The echoes of these dots and dashes are literally all around us. It's baked into the DNA of the connected world we live in right now.
You can draw a straight line from that first click to the device you're watching this on right now. The telegraph proved a global network was even possible. Then the telephone put a voice on that wire. Radio came along and snipped the cord, making it all wireless. And finally, the internet took that core idea and exploded it into the network of networks. But every bit of it, started with the telegraph.
So at the end of the day, the telegraph did so much more than just send messages. It fundamentally changed what it meant to be human on this planet. It was the very first piece of tech that proved we could connect with each other instantly, no matter how far apart we were. It laid the blueprint, the whole foundation for the global village we all live in today.
And that kind of leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? The Victorians tackled the seemingly impossible job of wrapping the entire planet in a wire. Today, our connections are invisible, they're everywhere, and they're getting faster every second. So the question for us is, what are we going to do with it? What's the next impossible challenge we're going to solve?